So hey, it's been like 2 months since we recorded an episode.
Yeah, we've had technical difficulties, completely on my part, but
Technical difficulties and just time difficulties and
scheduling
just
conflicts. The world has not been our oyster.
well, last time you complained that we didn't have enough to talk about.
Yeah, we've too much to talk about. Can we take some of these topics and edit them into the old episode? Make it more interesting? Yeah, we've quite a bit to talk about today. We were wondering if one of our topics was maybe too far gone to talk about because it's almost too old, but I think we can still talk about it. And then we have many other topics as well more recently.
So, Captain Marvel.
Captain Feminism. No, I'm kidding. No, Captain Marvel was. What did you think of it, Kyle?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I wouldn't call it my favorite Marvel film or anything. I would call it a decent Marvel film.
Yeah. I think I might have liked it a bit more than you, actually. I went back after watching it and I thought, what was the last Marvel film everyone went crazy for that I thought was subpar? And that was Black Panther.
Black Panther, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah. I went back and watched Black Panther and I thought, you know what? It was maybe a little bit better than I gave it credit for at the time. Still don't think it was revolutionary in its storytelling, but it was better than I gave it credit for. And I think I've been able to do that to adjust my opinion on Captain Marvel a lot quicker than it took me for Black Panther. And I also went, after that, I went and saw Black Panther again in the cinema. And I went and saw a really early screening, and it was like 9 a.m. and I had the entire screen to myself. I had a private screening.
You went to see Black Panther again in the cinema?
Captain Marvel.
You misspoke.
Did I? Well,
I'm leaving it in. Don't worry.
God damn it, Karen. Well, I went to see Captain Marvel myself. Nice empty screen. Felt very exclusive. And all the issues I initially had with it just disappeared. I really, really enjoy Captain Marvel. I think it's a great film. I don't think it's in my top 5 MCUs. Like, how many films do they have now? 22, including Infinity War?
I think so, yeah.
22, 23. And it's definitely mid-range. It's not a bad film, but I think it's almost in top-tier Marvel films, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know how much more I can say without getting into spoiler stuff.
Do we want to talk about spoilers?
I mean, what's the threshold? Is it a month? Is a month good for spoilers?
A month's good for spoilers. If people do spoiler reviews like 3 days after the film, some people do it the second the film comes out because they saw it early.
Here's what I'll do, right? For the first time ever, because I don't normally do it, I'll put a time code in the description so that people can skip past if they don't want spoils.
That is forward thinking. Everybody will appreciate that.
And I've said it in the podcast, so I will remember to do it.
When he's listening back to it later on.
So, I have some issues with the way the film is structured.
Go ahead.
I have to admit, it didn't click to me until I watched the Red Letter Media review on Captain Marvel.
Yes.
But just the way that the film unravels the mystery of her identity, it doesn't flow well. Because
yes,
you already know who she is the first second you see that photo, and then where's the mystery?
Yeah, there's a thing in filmmaking where the audience is either behind a character, with a character, in front of a character.
You're talking about dramatic irony. Is that what it's called?
You know the terms, apparently. If it is that, I don't know. But we spend a lot of time in Captain Marvel, the audience, being in front of the character. We know things before the character does. And that's fun for parts of a film, you know, when you know something that they don't know. But see, when you spend a lot of the film doing that, it can get quite tiresome. But, again, whether it was just because I liked the character interactions that were helping move the story along, or for another reason that I'm unaware of, I can't really remember having an issue with it. I think my not big issue, but an issue to do with the film structure is sometimes they would cut back to shots of her as like a little girl, and completely unnecessary in my opinion. Didn't need to
they
be
didn't
in the
really.
film.
If it was like the film started with her as a little girl, then it would like make more sense to do that kind of thing. But it feels a bit.
We're placing in for
girl power.
Yeah, woo. Yeah, it did kind of feel like that. I did like the comment with the asshole pilot, and he's like, you know why they call it a cockpit? I thought that was really funny.
It's pretty good, yeah. I have a question, and this is one of the first things that I talked about I watched it with my parents, right?
Yeah.
Did you think that Carol and her friend Rambo, is that her name?
Yes, Monica Rambeau.
Did you think that they were going to kiss at the end?
I didn't think they were going to kiss at the end, but I think a lot of that was because they'd set up, like, we're just hardcore friends. They kept cutting back to the same goddamn scene of Carol Danvers in a Guns N' Roses t-shirt singing karaoke in a bar, or playing what's the machine? The pinball machine in the arcade. And it was clearly the same day, like, it was the same shooting day, but they were splitting it up like it was supposed to be over different periods of time, I think. And it was like, no, these people are just good friends. But I think if you cut that out, there did feel like a weird, or are they going to fall in love? But then I also, maybe because I've heard other people who know better than me talk about the comics, I know where the friendship develops and why the daughter is important.
I've heard, I mean, I have to imagine that she'll show up later in the MCU, you know?
Yeah.
You got a kid, and then it's the current MCU is like 20 years later, so she has to show up as something.
Yeah, I believe she becomes a superhero called Photon, which is also the call sign on Carol Danvers' best friend, the mother's fighter jet.
So Photon will help the Avenger. Man.
That would be a twist if she showed up in Endgame.
I guess so. They'd have to explain it, though.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, I'm the little girl from Captain Marvel. Hello.
Hello. I mean, I remember there was a lot of casting when Infinity War and Endgame was on the go, and they were supposed to be casting aged up versions of characters. Like, I think there's supposed to be a grown up version of Ant-Man's daughter, I think, in the film. But, like, obviously she's very young in Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I think they are recasting certain younger roles.
Intriguing. When does that come out? It's a few days now, right?
The time we're recording, it's the 19th right now. I'm seeing it on the Wednesday night, the 24th at midnight, on opening. So, yeah, we're fast approaching. We're 5 days away.
We're literally in the end game right now.
We are in the end game. I've been rewatching the Avengers films to set myself up, just the trilogy, just Assemble, Ultron, and Infinity War, and they say Endgame a whole lot in those films.
Yep, they do. That's
it's all been
that's the thing.
It's all been setting up for the Endgame. I
take it you've got no interest in talking about politics of Captain Marvel.
Nah, I think the politics were severely underwhelming. It was a very, they I think they kind of misused Nick Fury quite a bit, and but it did warm my heart to see Clark Gregg back in the films.
Even if for most of his role he was actually an alien in disguise.
Most of an alien in disguise. Well, we're in the spoiler section anyway. But
yeah, it was lovely to see him in a major motion picture again.
Yes, it was. That God, we can't get enough of Clark Gregg. Shield season, whatever season, the final season, so close.
It's not the final season though. Is it
renewed?
They're doing another season after this.
Has it been renewed?
Yeah, it's renewed for season 7.
Oh, maybe I don't know if I knew that. I really thought this was going to be the final season. Maybe they're going to put it on Disney Plus and they'll integrate it into the MCU. Kevin Feige will finally get his hands on it.
If only.
If only. Because I do think that for a lot of MCU TV, it's been it's a very one-way relationship. It's the TV show will do a obligatory reference to the films, but it's never returned. But then when I've been rewatching Avengers Assemble and I've been rewatching Age of Ultron, it kind of stopped around about Age of Ultron. But between that kind of era of the MCU, there was quite a lot of payment to at least Agents of Shield. There was certain characters in the World Council on Avengers Assemble. They later were actually brought in as proper actors with roles in the show.
Well, he shows up in Agents of Shield, and then he's like, "Oh, hang on, I have to go be in the Winter Soldier now."
Yes, that's true. So I do think that at least if the Marvel shows, the Marvel Netflix shows were always kind of dusted off, I never think Agents of Shield was. It always got the respect it deserved.
That's because Agents of Shield is, without question, the best Marvel TV show.
True, but don't say that to the majority of people because no one watches it.
You say that, but it got renewed for 2 more seasons. There must be some people watching it.
I think someone high up in ABC has like some dirt on someone that they keep forcing them to renew it.
Clark Gregg is blackmailing them.
Because I know we like Agents of Shield. I also know a lot of other people don't. So I'm always surprised that it keeps getting renewed. I keep thinking who's watching it because everyone complains.
I'm sure I saw like a report the other day that it was a while ago, I think, that said that Agents of Shield was actually the most popular Marvel TV show.
Maybe that's just because it's network TV. Like, I wonder how it would compare to other TV shows.
Well, this seems like a good place to transition into Disney Plus.
Wow. I mean,
you want to talk about Disney Plus?
I think Netflix is in trouble, and I don't mean just from Disney Plus. If it was Netflix and Disney Plus fighting each other, Netflix will be fine. They'll just be competitors in the marketplace, and neither one of them will put the other out of business. But I think what Disney Plus is a signal of is companies using their own properties and just streaming them directly to the consumer instead of sending them to a separate third party. Though.
Disney is realistically the only one who can do it on that scale because Disney owns everything.
Yeah, but like for instance, HBO has their streaming. Though I know when it comes to leaving the US, they kind of lump them onto Netflix because I don't know the legalities around why they can't have their HBO Go or whatever in other markets. So I know that obviously CBS All Access in the US, but for those shows they'll lump them onto Netflix or whatever overseas. So I get Star Trek on Netflix here. But
as do I.
I thought you had it on Space TV or something.
No, I've got all of the shows on Netflix.
But what about Star Trek Discovery?
Don't have Discovery.
Yeah, okay, that's what I mean because they're.
I have all the real Star Trek.
All the real stuff. You have the good Star Trek. So I think in terms of the US market, I think Netflix is in danger with all these companies, CBS All Access and HBO Go, I think it's called, and Disney Plus. They're saying we're cutting out the middleman and we're showing you our stuff here and now. Different levels of success. And I believe I saw a market report that said that Disney will, for the first 2 years, I think, they're operating at a loss on Disney Plus because they are selling it ridiculously cheap. What, $6.99?
I cannot believe that price point. That's insane.
$6.99. I converted that to GDP, and either they're going to try and make us pay more money, so we'll pay $6.99 as well in British pounds. But I think it's like roughly about £5.30 or something here.
It's stupid cheap.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I don't want to cancel Netflix because I do enjoy Netflix original stuff, but also Netflix are always operating at a loss whenever they make new TV shows. Whenever they raise the price, Netflix, I don't really think make a profit. I don't know how they keep operating. They just keep plowing more money into shows.
They keep putting up the price of it.
Yeah, steadily over time, but that's not going to be successful eventually. The whole popularity thing around Netflix was it was the cheaper alternative to cable packages.
Yeah, and now Disney Plus is about to stomp them into the ground.
Yeah,
Disney doesn't give a crap about losing $1 million.
Disney Plus is a big sign of things to come. I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix start to drown. Even things like the BBC start withdrawing their things, put them on BBC iPlayer, which I know is free, but I think that might
You
start.
don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah, I think BBC iPlayer is going to be also a premium service eventually.
They're going to offer BBC iPlus or whatever.
BBC Plus, more shows that aren't on their current catalogue, and they'll offer it overseas with BBC America and stuff. And the reason I bring up BBC iPlayer specifically is because I was looking at Netflix earlier today and I saw they have The Bodyguard on Netflix. Bodyguard, absolutely amazing miniseries with Robb Stark from Game of Thrones. And it's just, Netflix has it, but I don't think for how much longer if they keep losing all their other properties.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, as we theorized before, with when the Disney streaming stuff was, I guess it was just kind of rumors.
Yeah.
And Netflix started cancelling all of the Marvel TV shows. Well, they've all been efficiently replaced, I would say.
Yeah, they weren't rumours that we didn't know the specifics, but we knew for a fact that Disney was working on a streaming service. That was, I think, confirmed, but we didn't know the name. So now we know the name, we know the price points, and we know what films are going to be on what.
So what were the 4 Marvel shows that were confirmed for it? It was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. WandaVision.
Which is such a cool name.
Is it a cool name? I think it's a bad name.
It's such a cheesy Inspector Gadget name that I love it.
WandaVision. For some reason, I always think of Fairly Odd Parents.
Yes, yes, that would work. Oh god, that's a flashback to a show. So we have WandaVision, Falcon the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye. That I think they were specifically saying that's like a mini-series, so I think that's like 1 season.
He's too big for TV.
Jeremy Renner, yeah. So I think they were kind of oddly specific that might only be 1 season, but that might change if it's very successful. Or sorry, it will change if it's very successful.
Yeah.
What was the other one?
It was another proper MCU character.
Oh, Loki.
Right? Loki, that was it.
Loki.
That's the one I'm most confused about.
I kept rationalising stuff like that because I think Loki was the first one that was kind of semi-announced, and I thought, oh, it'll be prequel. Back before the first.
Yeah, he's like 1,000 years old. So
there's time to work with. But I remembered that Marvel is also Disney, and I was like, even though I'm of the belief in Infinity War the only people who can return are the people who died via the snapping.
Mm-hmm. It's Disney.
Yeah, it's Disney. So in my view, until Endgame comes out, I believe Loki is dead. Vision is dead. Gamora is dead. Then I also remembered that Gamora is Gamora, and Loki is Tom Hiddleston.
Yep.
And they're just gonna bring them all back.
Yep. You know it's true.
I know. I like Loki. I love Tom Hiddleston's character Loki. Again, like I said, when I watched Avengers recently, I was like, man, he was such a good villain for that first film. But I just bring them back, and I kind of think you're undoing a lot of the stakes. No one's ever really gone.
I mean, no one's ever really gone. Star Wars.
Star Wars. I did like for keeping it on Disney Plus, but also Star Wars. Did you see the sneak peek for the Mandalorian?
I saw a couple images, and I saw there was a clip of them deconstructing an old Rebel cruiser.
Oh no, that
not Rebel, Republic
that
cruiser.
That was for Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, was that for Jedi Fallen Order? The
new game.
Well, fucking hell, there's so much.
Yeah, we've so much to talk about. This is going to be a fun episode. No, but for there was a sneak peek at Star Wars Celebration that they showed for, and it was basically a sizzle reel and kind of interviews behind the scenes stuff from Mandalorian with a little bit of footage intercut that looks pretty. It looked done, but it didn't look like they had enough of it to actually release a trailer. But they were allowing.
There was a recognizable character in it, wasn't there? An actor or character. Was there Lando in it?
No.
Did I imagine that?
Yeah, you imagined that completely. This is set 5 years, I think, after Return of the Jedi, and the main actor in the show is Pedro Pascal.
Oh,
Oberyn Martell, the Viper from Game of
yeah.
Thrones. He was in Kingsman
Squish.
too. Squish. He is the Mandalorian, I believe, in the show, and it was kind of I'm kind of fed up of kind of Band of Rebel Outlaws in Star Wars. It's done to death.
Yep.
It's completely just as boring. But this showed, and it, like I say, they didn't release this as a reel officially on their channel or anything, which I think is strange. But they also were not trying to ensure no one recorded it, because there are recordings just all over the place online of people recording it in the auditorium. And it looks really high production value. I always had and I know we just gave a lot of praise to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it felt like that feels like Marvel on a TV budget. I was very scared that Mandalorian was going to look like Star Wars on a TV budget, and I think that just looks awful. But it doesn't. It
looked like Star Wars.
It looks film budget, and I'm very happy to see that it looks like they're putting money into it.
I am cautiously optimistic for The Mandalorian. I wouldn't say I'm full on excited for it. I'm cautiously optimistic.
I mean, with that back catalogue that they're providing on their Disney Plus, I highly doubt that even if we don't like it, we're going to feel ripped off for it.
Speaking of which, Clone Wars Season 7.
Clone Wars Season 7. Here we go, boys. We're finishing
another steal from Netflix.
They removed I don't think in the UK at least we've not had Clone Wars on Netflix for like a good 4 years.
Really? I think it's still on here.
Yeah, I keep seeing things every once in a while on Facebook and stuff from people in the US, maybe Canada too, that either it was being removed and it got renewed, but then it was removed and it came back or something. But then recently I saw people saying that it was finally removed.
Well, it's odd because the sixth season was produced by Netflix, right?
It was produced by Netflix, so I wonder how much Disney paid them. You know, maybe they didn't. Maybe there was some loophole that says we have the rights to withdraw them, because it's hard. It's not like Clone Wars isn't going back onto Cartoon Network, which is the original reason it was cancelled, because it was a Cartoon Network show. So there must be lots and lots of reasons why that they were able to do that, but it's, you know, all Disney Plus, the final season, we're finishing the fight, it's going to be great, no one's ever really gone.
Tying up loose ends.
The trail looks amazing. I have a theory about her lightsabers. And
I don't know why they're blue.
I don't know why they're blue either, because I thought maybe these are why they turned white in Rebels. I don't know. But they look very similar to the lightsaber that the guy has in Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh boy.
Very similar. It's all canon, Kyle.
Can we talk about Jedi Fallen Order for a sec?
We can talk about Jedi Fallen Order.
So, I don't know about you, like, obviously, I'm all for more single-player games. Love me some single-player only games.
Yep.
You know?
Yep, they're great. We'll have a good story game.
That being said, this game looks really boring. And I don't know if that's exclusive to me as an opinion, but
I don't think we know enough. I know we had a trailer.
Just based on that first trailer, it's Guy, and he used to be a Jedi, and he's escaping from the Empire, and it's the most generic Star Wars plot I've ever seen. I was like, I've seen all of this before with Star Wars Rebels.
Kyle, it's very obvious. He's Snoke. No, he's not Snoke. He's
that would
Darth
save
Vader's,
that game.
He's Darth Vader's butler from Rogue One. No, he's no one. He is like Rey. He is no one. His parents were jump traders.
He is generic man protagonist.
His parents. No, I get what you mean completely. I get what you mean. I don't understand the relevance of this story. I don't know why they're telling it. Like, we understand Jedi on the run because their master was killed, seeking new trainer.
This is exactly what they did with what's his name in Rebels?
Ezra.
No,
Kanan.
Ezra's master, Kanan. Yeah, it's like this is just Kanan's story again.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a good point. I was kind of subconsciously aware of it, but I didn't quite know how to word it. Again, I agree with you that there's no real need to tell a story. They've even got Inquisitors. I think it is just for the gameplay experience. I was hoping for another Force Unleashed story. God, they could have just remastered the Force Unleashed with they could have done a Halo 2. Like,
the problem is the Force Unleashed is it's too silly to be canon now, I think.
I think if Rebels really makes it hard to be canon, I think the Force Unleashed 2 really struggles to be canon. Force Unleashed 1, if like the last 2 seasons of Rebels never happened, I think would be canon perfectly.
But then Force Unleashed 2 is, we've got clones and you can kill the Emperor at the end of the game.
I think that's
What?
Yeah, it's... Force Unleashed 2 I think was as decent as a game, but as a Star Wars thing it was a bit I think the first one's just great though. Kyle, I don't know why they're telling either, but the Inquisitors look cool, the graphics look cool. I hope the gameplay's fun.
Oh, it looks lovely from a graphics standpoint, and I agree it was cool to see Inquisitors. They're horribly underutilized in the Star Wars mythos.
Yep. I think they said that was the second sister or something that's appeared in a couple of comic books to prep for this game. Not the same one from Rebels. I think that was the seventh sister or something.
Yeah. Something like that. Anyway, we have one more Star Wars thing to do. Arguably the most important one.
No one's ever really gone, Kyle.
Evil Cackle.
Evil Cackle, the movie. Listener, we can't lie. Me and Kyle have spoken about this immediately after the fact.
Of course, yep.
And we already kind of know what each other thinks about it. So I'll head it off to start with the positive. I got really fucking excited, and I don't know how warranted it is because I also know that J.J. Abrams likes to have trailers that will give you a general impression of a film, but not be a direct representation of the film. And he's
very good at making trailers.
Very good at making trailers. And I kind of, after hearing that cackle, got so excited I forgot that we didn't know the title of the film yet. So I was perfectly content to just accept that this was a trailer, then it was going to be Star Wars Episode 9, The Mad Cackle. I completely forgot.
The Emperor Returns.
Yeah, because I did kind of like the symmetry of the end of each trilogy has got all the R's: Revenge, Return, and Rise.
I get it. They could. It's not a good name though.
I haven't seen the film yet. It could be very representative of it.
I was thinking, is it the only Star Wars title that has, like, I'm talking mainline, that has someone's name in it?
The clones have names.
No, but it's just called the Clone Wars. It's specifically called Rise of Skywalker. It's referencing a character.
Attack of the Clones is referencing a character.
The
Phantom Menace is about Palpatine.
You know what I mean.
I know
you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. It's like it's actually the name of a person. It's not Attack of the Clones. Isn't called Attack of Commander Cody.
It's also like it's a bit of a spoiler, isn't it?
Well, do we know that? I mean, for instance, I'm of the staunch opinion that this trilogy is kind of floundering. Doesn't really know what it wants to do.
What gave you that impression?
A couple of things. But, however, there was a lot of concept art for Episode 7 of going to the second Death Star, and it was submerged underwater. There's a lot of and obviously there was the concepts for the Knights of Ren then just became the team from Rogue One. So I'm very open to the fact that concept art just gets recycled and used for different projects. So
they really need to do something with the Knights of Ren. Like, they exist. You can't just ignore them.
I think the Knights of Ren is who Big Boy Ren, who he is, Big Kylo, who he's fighting in the trailer. I think he goes... This is speculation time, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. Welcome.
Welcome to speculation time.
I think...
It's going to be a grand old adventure.
I think, because I have always been of this impression, Kylo is a punk. I don't think he can operate without a boss. He had Snoke. Snoke was quite abusive to him, and Snoke was then punished for his abusiveness and executed. Mm-hmm. Now he thinks I am in power, realises I don't know what I'm doing, and Palpatine, for whatever reason, he's still alive, I don't know. He seeks him out and says, "Hey, you are my new chosen one. You can finish what your grandfather started. Bring the helmet, bring everything, but one condition: if you're going to be my new apprentice, the Sith worked in two. You must kill all your chums." And in that trailer, we see him clothesline someone and stab him with the crossguard of the lightsaber. I think he's hunting down the Knights of Ren.
I can buy that. So that's the big thing, really, of this whole trailer. Nothing else is all that important, except for you hear the Emperor laugh at the end, and then
Rey does a
the
cool
actor
flip.
walks out. Then the actor walks out on stage
and says, "Roll it again."
Oh, the Emperor's back.
You know,
no one's ever really gone.
Remember in not the first trailer for Episode 7, but the first proper trailer after the teaser? The whole trailer was narrated by Luke Skywalker, and they took cuts from Return of the Jedi's audio, and they had Mark Hamill redo the audio for modern times, and they intercut old Skywalker and young Skywalker saying the same line. And and it turned out he didn't say a word in the whole film. I think that laugh is also not from the film. I
agree. It sounds very similar to previous laughs.
I think someone did say that Ian McDiarmid said at the celebration that that actually is an old take. He didn't record that for that trailer. But I don't know how much we're going to see of Mr. Old Man Palpatine in the film. I think we're going to get a couple of scenes with him. Then he is going to do a Time Lord and regenerate into either Matt Smith or Richard Grant.
Oh god!
And that'll be like a younger
if
body.
If he regenerates into Matt Smith, oh my god!
I think he's. I just caught the. Oh, I never even made that connection. That's funny. I never even was like, because he was the Doctor. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think he's going to regenerate into Matt Smith or Richard E. Grant. And
I don't know. Like the Emperor is so iconic, though. Do you really think they would change his look?
Because I don't think that it's like a new character. I think it's going to be the same. That is going to be what Palpatine looked like in his 30s, you know.
Okay.
So I think it's still supposed to be the same body, just younger. It's not going to be like the spirit of Palpatine has entered some poor soul that's been kidnapped, you know.
I on the one hand, the Emperor is great, right? No one is ever going to argue that the Emperor isn't really amusing and entertaining.
That's why they had to bring him back.
But at the same time, it feels so desperate.
Oh yeah, it reeks of, my god, we need fucking, to bring the community back together because it just split. It had one of the biggest breakups in Star Wars history, and now we're going to show all the symbolism of repairing. The lightsaber...
The fandom is literally at war with itself right now.
The lightsaber broke apart, we'll repair it. Kylo Ren shattered his mask, let's bring it back together again. The Emperor get chucked down a shaft, let's bring him back. Remember Palpatine?
Things I know!
Star Wars Rogue One, the Palpatine story.
Star Wars TM, Emperor TM, Cackle TM.
So yeah, I don't know. I completely would not be able to deflect criticism of remember this, but I also think but this is purely just because I have always been of the opinion that Kylo Ren really needs a boss. I never believed he was capable of functioning on his own. I think that Snoke died, and that was a creative decision that resulted in Palpatine coming back. I do not think we would be seeing Palpatine in this film if Snoke was still alive.
That's probably true, yeah.
And I'm very happy to see Palpatine back because I have faith that they'll explain it. in a way. I'm open to any form of storytelling as long as I feel like it's told in a good way.
I mean, like, looking back, like, he fell down a mine shaft. It was hardly, like, he can use the Force. He could just use feather falling and he'd be fine. Like,
well, we did see a big blue explosion of light, you know, with
or he's
electricity.
like an evil Force ghost now. That's probably my impression. Guess would be that he's a dark Force ghost, because that would be like a new thing that we haven't seen before, and it's red instead of blue or whatever.
Darth Bane and
that was more of like a Sith demon.
Oh, but Darth Bane was a real living person like Palpatine. Like he wasn't ever like that. I think that's what happens after like centuries of just being a Force ghost. You become more corrupt and evil, and you become really, really scary. So I think maybe I kind of think maybe Palpatine is still like he's like Voldemort. Like he's latching on to other life forms to survive.
What if they just pull a total like fuck you and it's the robot from Battlefront 2?
No, because that's just a droid with no. I would hate that. I would absolutely hate that. I do think that I think Matt Smith is going to be bald. He's going to wear a turban. He's going to unwind the turban in front of Daniel Radcliffe, and you see Ian McDermott's face on the back of his head.
Darth Voldemort.
Darth Voldemort. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens. I think that if he does come back as a Force ghost, we'll get to have some kind of like Netherrealm Force fight between Ghost Luke, Ghost Yoda, Ghost Obi-Wan, Ghost Palpatine, Ghost Count Dooku,
Ghost Anakin.
Ghost Anakin, of course. How could I forget?
And it will of course be prequel Anakin, as the rumors have stated many times.
It has to be Hayden Christian Anakin because that was the canon Force ghost.
That's the canon Force ghost. Canon now you can't change it.
Can't change it. God damn it, George Lucas.
How are they going to do Obi-Wan though?
Ewan McGregor's still alive.
CGI him?
I suppose.
Yeah, but he's not the canon Force ghost either.
That's a good point. People bitch about it because everyone likes Ewan McGregor so much, and J.J. Abrams will be like, I know we're kind of breaking the rules, but my god, people love Ewan McGregor. Like, we need the love.
Make a Ewan McGregor film with Obi-Wan. Why is this so difficult to understand?
There was a rumour, unconfirmed, that Ewan McGregor was at the Solo premiere because if Solo was a success, they wanted his face to be out there so that they could announce it. And the lesson that Kathleen Kennedy took from the failure of Solo was that they now understand that the fans don't want 2 Star Wars films a year, which wasn't the lesson to be learned. The lesson to be learned was that we didn't want a Han Solo movie. 2 years after we saw Harrison Ford in the role.
Where he died.
If it was a Solo film with Harrison Ford, maybe. We're open to one day seeing a Han Solo film without Harrison Ford, but see when it's 2 years after we just saw Harrison Ford?
Yep, they jumped the gun. Why does no one know how to do the Marvel formula?
Because
everyone else keeps trying it and they keep messing up. Like, it doesn't seem like a difficult concept to me.
No one is Kevin Feige.
Here's how you do it. You take it slow. There you go. There's your magical advice.
They don't want to take it slow. They want to catch up with Marvel. They want to be making $2 billion in the box office today.
And that's why they're not making $2 billion in the box office today.
Yeah, I know. No, I would like to say I thought Shazam was delightful.
I've heard. I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
I really enjoy Shazam. Good film all around. Thumbs up. But back to Star Wars.
You know what? I watched the trailer, and really the only thing I can remember is the Emperor's cackle. I remember Rey jumping over a TIE fighter, and I remember the Emperor cackling.
That was the point. You were not see if they started off the trailer with that cackle, you wouldn't remember anything after it either. I remember Billy D. Williams laughing in the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, that's right. I remember Billy D. Williams in the Millennium Falcon. And he looks really old.
He looks really old. He looks like the coolest guy in the world on the Star Wars Celebration stage. He just so cool. He's got his pimp cane. He's wearing the same outfit Donald Glover wore, which is really weird because he never wore that outfit. Apart from
he's
when he was Donald Glover.
60 years older than that.
Yeah. It's weird.
it's nice to see Lando back.
Nice to see Lando back.
It's not like a surprise that he's back. I think most people predicted that.
Most people predicted that from The Force Awakens. They were like, right, okay, we need new old man coming back. Carrie Fisher was in the trailer.
That was odd.
It was very obviously Force Awakens. Well, obviously it wasn't new footage. But it really felt, this is Force Awakens footage, we have changed the background.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't even feel like they've tried to alter anything else.
Like, why? Like, just... You don't even have to, like, kill her off screen or something. Just don't put her in the movie. That would be my advice.
I actually don't have a problem with it, funnily enough. I thought if you want to tell the story of Leia as accurately as possible, recasting is your best option, unless you honestly believe you have a good story that
you can cobble out of past footage.
Cobble out of past footage, yeah. The reason they were able to use old Carrie Fisher footage is because they never had a clear story for this trilogy to begin with. It just proves it. If they started episode 7 with a beginning, middle and end point for this trilogy, they would have a story that involves Leia to an extent that means we can't just use old footage. If they're able to do it, it means they never had a starting point. I know J.J. Abrams...
It's not as if this has been confirmed since The Last Jedi that they didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
This has been confirmed since The Force Awakens that they didn't have a plan.
There is... Like, we'll go back to The Force Awakens for a minute, go to the novelisation of it, which I've listened to. And there is a bit... Remember the bit in The Force Awakens where Kylo Ren and Rey are having like a lightsaber fight in the snow, which is beautiful, and there's a bit where he has her down and she starts to like do a force meditation in mid-block, and everything kind of slows down,
and she gains the power.
She gains the power to fight back. And that bit in the book, she hears an ominous voice telling her to kill him.
Ooh.
And everybody just assumes that is Snoke. And
makes sense.
I assume, even right now as I'm speaking to you, that is Snoke. However, since the cackle of that trailer, people are like, it was Palpatine! Because the book doesn't actually say it was Snoke, but like the implication is cool that it was Snoke.
Especially if you do factor in The Last Jedi, where he did the thing to like link their minds or whatever. Yeah. He was clearly messing around in her head.
Messing around in her head. And I'm like, I see nothing in this passage, because I saw the written word as well in case I listened to it. The written word doesn't imply who it is, it's just ominous voice says, kill him, or whatever. And it's definitely not Palpatine, but people really want to believe this trilogy was planned out.
Was the book also written by J.J. Abrams?
No.
Because that's such a J.J. Abrams decision. He loves his mystery boxes. Who was the voice?
Who was the voice? It's just, people still believe this trilogy was planned out, and I just think you're full of shit. Even if you believe it, like some people genuinely do believe it, and that's, you can have that belief, and I think there's other people who know that it wasn't but will lie up to themselves. And I'm sorry guys, this has been one film, though I actually think by the end of Rise of Skywalker it'll feel like two film, one film, because I still believe he's going to make 7 and 9 feel like there was a time jump, and 8 will be like the opening crawl. It's the period between the two stories, not necessarily a story itself.
There's too many important things that happen to just ignore it, though.
Yeah, I would never say that you can directly...
Like Luke Skywalker, Snoke, the Rebellion... You have to address all of these things, at least.
Like, for instance, I would have an issue if 9 started, Luke was alive, Snoke was alive, and just... like, things...
It was all a dream!
Yeah, like, things had happened...
Rey wakes up.
Yeah, and like...
Oh, it was just a dream.
Snoke would be alive, and they would never mention how he was resurrected. They just pretended that never happened. I would take issue with that, because it clearly did happen in 8. But see, if they were to just not exactly follow up any plot points from it, I'd be cool with it, unless it is something like Snoke where you can't deny Snoke died, You can't deny that Luke force projected himself to that sandy planet.
You can't deny Snoke died, you can just replace him with another character and hope no one really notices.
He's gonna pull out his red lightsabers.
He's oh, that's true. He has two, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, I think he lost one.
He fights Darth Maul and Savage Press.
Yes.
In the Mandalorian Council Chambers.
And we're going to finally find out what happened after that fight, because he says, I have plans for you. You never find out what those plans were.
And then somehow he ends up in Solo.
Yes. I watched the Clone Wars panel at Star Wars Celebration, and they say that the outfit he's wearing is supposed to kind of be reminiscent of the outfit he wears in Solo, because this is where he's going. Mm-hmm. And also, they did motion capture for the fight scenes in Clone Wars this season. I don't know if they always done it, but they did it for this season. And they got Ray Park to do the Maul fighting in Clone Wars this season as well. So they're pulling out all the stops.
Darth Maul is such a strange character.
I think he's had a very strange experience in the Star Wars world in terms of where he started in the Phantom Menace to where he's went now in 2019. But I think he's a great character.
He's a great character post the Phantom Menace. He's not a great character in the Phantom Menace. Everything else with Darth Maul is great. He isn't a character in the Phantom Menace.
I heard...
Does he even speak? Does he even speak in the Phantom Menace?
He does speak in the Phantom Menace, and I was just about to bring that up. The Ray Park does all the physical acting and all that in the Phantom Menace for Darth Maul, but someone else, and it's another actor who I think you might know the face of, but I couldn't tell his name, I couldn't tell who he's been in. But he did the voice of Darth Maul in that film. Then for Solo, they actually brought that same actor from the Phantom Menace back to voice him, and then they thought, no, Sam Witwer's much better, and they brought in Sam Witwer and just overdone his work. So the guy did come back from the Phantom Menace to the voice, and they just thought, no, Sam Witwer's better. So I feel sorry for that guy.
A little bit sorry, but
you can appreciate
they're not wrong.
Yeah, but you can appreciate their attention to detail. Like that, like they actually did bring back the Phantom Menace voice actor, even though he had like 3 lines.
I still find it so weird that they put Maul in Solo, because anyone who just watches the films would be so confused by that.
Yeah, I appreciate they showed the robot legs, and you heard Duel of Fates and stuff. They really wanted to make it clear, but if you just watch the films, it would be very, very confusing. Though I've actually never met someone that just watches the films or had never even at least heard that he comes back. Even everybody I've spoke to that even if they've not watched Clone Wars and Rebels, whatever, they were still aware somehow that one time years ago Darth Maul was back alive.
He had spider legs.
Yeah, he was a spider.
Did they ever explain how he made those spider legs?
I think it was the sister who'd done it, the witches.
No, but they like bring him in and give him actual legs though.
True. I don't know.
He just has spider legs.
How did he ever get off Naboo? Because he was clearly on Dathomir.
He fell down the trash compactor.
Into another planet?
Well, it was like he was on like a trash planet.
Yeah, but...
He was on Pandora.
Yeah, but that isn't Naboo.
Transition time!
Right, let's talk about your big excitement.
Hey, so after many years of waiting, Borderlands 3 is a thing. It's happening, it's real. I am very hype.
Kyle, much hype, much love, too much franchise.
I am a very big Borderlands fan. Your game, it looks great, at least from the trailer so far. Bringing stuff back, things I know.
Remember Claptrap?
Remember Reese?
Listener, Kyle is your point man for Borderlands. I have a complicated relationship with Borderlands in that I'm a fan, but at more than arm's length. I recently purchased a Handsome Collection because it was super stupid cheap, and I thought, well, I can't let that go. So I'm currently replaying Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel, which I have played before, but I'm revisiting to refresh myself. I'm not really overly familiar with the lore. Kyle, on the other hand, knows everything about Borderlands in relation to the game and maybe more.
So here's how it works. There's 2 kinds of Borderlands fans. There's people like me who mostly play for story and stuff, because games, they have good stories, they're funny and interesting. And then you've got the other kind, which are the people who play for loot, which I've never understood or related with.
Which is what kicked off the thing of Destiny and the Division and the loot games, where you just play for the loot and the story's kind of secondary.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like all of those games, they took one half of the Borderlands formula without taking the other half.
Yep.
Which I guess is it's why, even though I'm a big fan of Borderlands, I don't really like any of those games. Because the gameplay of Borderlands is fun, but I'm not super interested in farming for weapons or whatever. It just doesn't interest me. Anyway, so obviously it looks like they're doing plenty of cool story stuff, so I'm not too worried about that.
Guns with legs!
Guns with legs. Brick on a saxophone.
Brick on a saxophone. And a trailer. They took time out of their trailer, their showcase, to show you a dude who most people probably aren't familiar with playing a saxophone.
Okay, hang on. It was a Borderlands panel. Everyone in that panel knew who Brick was, okay?
Yeah, but I meant for like the world. I played Borderlands 2 and I didn't know it was Brick.
He has he looks like Marcus Phoenix.
He does look Marcus Phoenix. I will say that he did look Marcus Phoenix. I actually, part of me might have even thought, is that Marcus Phoenix?
He's got like this bandana on, and he looks like Marcus Phoenix. Anyway, I'm very excited, but of course I don't know. I'm assuming you're not familiar. There's been some controversy.
Controversy? Video game release? Tell me more. I've never heard of this.
So there's two. There's one which I find less interesting, and one that I find more interesting. So I'll start with the less interesting one, which is there's been some controversy with Troy Baker.
Yeah.
Who is, of course, the voice actor for Reese.
Go on.
So basically the trailer came out and Troy Baker was like, oh hey, that's Reese. No one ever told me.
Oh, is he not in it?
So, yeah, and he's like, I would love to be in it. Give me a call, Gearbox. And then Randy Pitchford, CEO of Gearbox, responded like, oh, we asked Troy Baker and he said no. And Troy Baker said, you didn't tell me shit. I want to be in the game.
Oh,
so
someone's been double doing.
Here's why I find this uninteresting. This is clearly some kind of misunderstanding, and more than likely, if Troy Baker wants to be in it and they want Troy Baker in it, Troy Baker's going to be in it.
They're going to pull up Peter Dinklage and redo his audio.
I mean, if he wants, he makes that character. He's great in Tales from the Borderlands. So
yeah, why
wouldn't you cast him if he wants to be in it?
I know. It does seem like there's been a misunderstanding. It seems very simple to sort out. And I think it is quite. I do appreciate that most drama is kind of misunderstandings, though.
Yeah. So the much bigger one is they announced Borderlands release date September. They announced that it will be on Xbox One, PS4, and the Epic Store.
What's the big controversy with the Epic Store? Because I have no concept of why people don't. It's just a competitor to Steam? I don't understand.
This is what I was confused about too, because this is like fire in the Borderlands community right now. Everyone is super pissed about this, and I was as a dumb, uninitiated console player,
filthy console people that we are.
Yep. I didn't understand this at all. It's like, what does it matter if you have to buy it on a different loader? It's free. You don't have to pay for the Epic Store. Why does it matter?
Yeah, well, what does it matter? It's just a different outlet to buy your games. Nobody gets annoyed at the Windows Store.
So here's the thing. I did do some research into this because I was curious. I was like, why is everyone so pissed about this?
Yeah? What did you find out, Professor?
I guess that people don't like the Epic Store because it's not as good as Steam.
It's not as good as Steam, therefore outrage.
That's pretty much it. It's like it has much less features than Steam. It doesn't have community features. It doesn't have achievements, which would actually bother me. But I'm a console player, so whatever. it doesn't have like a bunch of stuff that people like.
So it doesn't have things.
And so they're pissed that it's an exclusive.
It doesn't have things that people can implement to the service over time. It's nothing to do with like a business practice. It's not like EA with their microtransactions. It's not with like an ethical point of the business. It's just
no. From what I can tell, it's purely they just don't like the Epic Store.
Shut up. These PC players bitching about how superior they are, but they can't get over themselves because one thing isn't on the right store. We have console exclusives, and we get a wee bit upset that PlayStation is Spider-Man or Xbox has Halo. But my God, who cares?
Like, we have more right to be upset about Spider-Man because we'd have to buy a new console if we wanted Spider-Man.
You know what? Good point. Good.
The Epic Store is free. You can just get it. It's not an issue.
Yeah, it's really not an issue, and it's not. Yeah, you don't have to buy a new device. It's just a piece of software that you install. Again, like he says, for free. Jesus Christ!
It's been. I'm glad you share my frustration in this.
It's so stupid.
It's been dominating the community. Every post by Borderlands is like, why is it an Epic Store exclusive? Why is an Epic Store exclusive? It's like, shut it, you whitey motherfuckers.
It would be different if it was like, it's a console exclusive, like, it's not coming to PC. I'd understand your outrage. But it's coming to PC. It's coming to your platform. It's not like if I got annoyed that on Xbox it was only on, like, a bundle. Like, I couldn't buy a certain edition of it. It's free. The Epic Store is free.
I didn't even think about what you said earlier, but you're right. Like, these features can be added. It's not as if it's not an Xbox where, you know, you've got limitations on it. It's software. You can update it.
Yeah, you can infinitely update the Epic Store until the end of time.
And just from an outer market type thing, I'm happy that Steam has a competitor. I don't like monopolies.
Nope, nor do I, which is why I was tentative about just Disney taking over everything, but screw it, it's happening. But yeah, no, Steam needs a competitor, and if people are bitching about it, then don't use it. Stay to Steam. You don't want to play Borderlands?
Boycott it. Do your thing, whatever.
Yeah, you don't want to take part in the Epic Store, so you can't play Borderlands.
Face it, they're all complaining about it and stuff. They're all going to buy it anyway.
They're all going to buy it.
Borderlands fans.
Epic doesn't care. And does Epic take less than Steam of the cut from game developers?
I think Epic is owned by 2K, right?
Yeah, I think so. Or does Epic own 2K?
So they're probably not taking anything.
Yeah, no, because I remember not looking into it, but I remember hearing from someone that there's a difference between which store takes more of a cut from their game developers. Like maybe Steam will take 35%, but Epic will take 40%. Those numbers aren't accurate nor specific. I'm just being general, but there are differences in what stores take and what they allow developers to have access to on the storefront. So I guess there's a difference in business practice there that maybe you might have an issue with, that the business won't change. But if you don't like the user interface, Jesus Christ, they'll change that over time. That's just a community feature.
It's just, I feel like we're being mean, but I don't know. It's just, this is such a something out of nothing type controversy to me.
We're uninitiated,
We're uninitiated fools. I'm going to play it on Xbox and I don't give a crap about all the PC stuff.
We have our achievements, our friends lists, our party functioning skills. Or
we have abusive father Microsoft.
We have abusive father Microsoft. At least we don't have EA with microtransactions.
No, Nathan. Their new game, they'll have no microtransactions. They made that explicitly clear.
Those chickens are up to something. I don't trust them. They're planning something.
So, other than controversy, I'm very excited about new Borderlands. And of course, they released remastered first game. Been playing through that. It's been a fun nostalgia trip.
Game of the Year edition.
Game of the Year edition. It's Borderlands. It's in the air right now.
It's Borderlands, but not as you know it.
I mean, it is as I know it, though.
Well, most people never played Borderlands 1.
It was Game of the Year, apparently. Some people must have played it.
Doesn't every game have a Game of the Year edition?
It kind of seems like that way, doesn't it?
I don't think Halo 4 was Game of the Year, but I think there was a Game of the Year edition.
I think if one magazine says that you're Game of the Year, you get to put that on your box.
Yeah, I feel like this is our game. Our Game of the Year award. This is our Game of the Year edition. There's only one contender, and it's our game.
Microsoft Magazine gave Halo 4 Game of the Year.
And you're like, whoa, really? Fucking no way.
Whoa, what an upturn.
Yeah, the shock horror. It'd be different if they gave like a PlayStation exclusive the Game of the Year. Then you'd be like, whoa, that is a true upset.
I tell you what, it has been weird playing through the first Borderlands because it doesn't look like Borderlands. Like, it's very not colourful.
Is it not all
like
cel-shaded?
Borderlands. It's still cel-shaded, yeah. It's got the same art style, but like Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel, and Tales, they're all really colourful games, right? Saturation's turned way high.
Right.
Borderlands 1, everything is in a desert, and everything is brown. And it looks a lot more like Mad Maxy. Yeah. If you know what I mean. I'm not going to say it's more realistic, but it's realistic-y than Borderlands 2.
It doesn't feel as like fantastical. It feels more science fiction-y.
I guess so. It's more boring, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Is it still in Pandora?
It's still in Pandora, yeah. You play as the original 4 who show up in the second game.
Yep. Knew that. One of the few things I did know about the first game.
Yep. And it's very strange playing it, knowing that it's the same as playing through Assassin's Creed 1, you know, where you play through it and this sparked a massive franchise? This game?
This game? Yeah, I get what you mean. I guess sometimes it's not always the first game that sparks it, it's the second game.
It's true. That's how it worked for Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed 2 is the Star Child.
Yeah, it's always like the first game is just good enough to say let's give it a sequel. Then it gets really good. You know.
There is so the remaster comes with all the DLC for the game.
Yeah.
And the DLC actually feels a lot more like Borderlands than the base game does. It's got a lot more humour in it. It's more colourful. I was going to say, is Borderlands 1 just as funny? No, it's not.
Wow.
It's got jokes in it, but it's not nearly as humorous until you get to the DLC, which has some great stuff in it. Like, the first DLC is about, it's the zombie island of Dr. Ned, who is Dr. Zed with a fake mustache on.
Oh, right, Zeb from Borderlands 2?
He's in the first game as well.
Really? Right, okay.
Yeah, but it's him, and it's just Dr. Zed, but he has a fake mustache on. And they make jokes the whole game, like, I am talking about my brother, who is definitely not me in disguise.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, those kind of jokes. Yeah, and I get what you mean now. Wow.
And then,
so wait, Kyle, let me ask you a question to go away from Borderlands Game of the Year edition to Borderlands 3.
Mm-hmm.
What edition are you buying?
I'm.
Oh.
I had a look at the at the $300 edition, and I was like, I mean, I am a big Borderlands fan, and I had to sit there with myself and say, you're not rich enough to buy that edition.
Is it not worth it?
I'm sorry.
Is it not worth it?
I don't think it's worth it.
What'd you get for it? What's in the $300 edition?
You know what? I'm gonna pull up the website. Well, stick with me here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Googling has begun. We're gonna give you a price cost analysis.
It's a lot of stuff, if I remember.
What are you getting for your Borderlands 3, and is it worth the price? We'll let you know.
So, obviously, with any game now, it has to come with at least 4 editions, because that's the way things work now.
I thought it was 3.
It's 4. So you get the standard.
Standard.
You get the deluxe.
Deluxe.
You get the super deluxe.
Super deluxe.
And then you get the super duper deluxe. I think that's actually what it's called. I could be wrong.
Wow, why 4 editions? 3 editions were fine. Standard edition, special edition, legendary edition.
I think 3's too much. I mean, you used to get 2. You used to get the base game, and then the base game with the season pass. Now you get the base game with some useless crap, and the base game with the season pass.
I honestly think 3 is nice. You get that, you get special edition, which is just like maybe the season pass and some extras. And then you get legendary edition, which actually is like the physical stuff, like a statue or a helmet or something.
Yeah, that's not how it works anymore, Nathan.
Why?
You get the standard edition, which is just the game. The special edition is the game with some, like, it'll maybe be like an extra skin or like a gun or something, like a pre-order bonus gun. And then you get the ultimate edition, which will come with that extra crap and the season pass.
Should I just be done with video games now?
Maybe.
It's too much money. They even released an Xbox One without a disc drive anymore. What did your research show us, Kyle?
I'm almost there. It's loading. The page is loading. I was wondering why all games have the same base cost. Why is there an established cost for games?
Yeah, different games have different development times and would have... Well, I suppose it's if it's AAA. Like, you're not going to have $60
yeah, but like, is
for...
Red Dead Redemption 2 really the same quality as, I don't know, other games ever? Red Dead Redemption 2 is ridiculously huge.
But would that not be worth the same price as the most recent Assassin's Creed?
I don't know if I would say that.
I get what you mean, but like sometimes they put more money, like the combat in an FPS is probably, there's a lot more work put into that than say a Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption was in production for like 9 years. Okay, here is the Borderlands 3 Collector's Edition. So you get the pre-order bonus of Gold Weapon Skins Pack, Deluxe Bonus Content Pack, which includes the Retro Cosmetic Pack, the Neon Cosmetic Pack, the Gearbox Cosmetic Pack, the Toy Box Weapon Pack, XP and Loot Drop Boost mods, the Season Pass, which includes 4 campaign DLC packs, and also includes the Butt Stallion Weapon Skin, the Butt Stallion Weapon Trinket, and the Butt Stallion Grenade mods.
Wow.
Plus you get a Diamond Loot Chest replica, Borderlands 3 character figurines times 10, so you get 10 of them, a Sanctuary 3 Snap model, 4 Vault Key keychains, a cloth map of the galaxy, and 5 character art lithographs.
That is too much.
That's why it costs like $300.
It's I don't also, but it's too much. I also don't think it's worth $300.
It's too much, but also not enough. Is that what you're saying?
It's more than you should need, is what I'm meaning, but it also doesn't warrant that price.
It's very similar to the old Halo Reach.
Yeah, see, I was thinking that in the Legendary Edition for Halo Reach, it was like £250 or something. But that also had a lot of physical stuff in it. This was like, it's just more digital stuff.
No, it comes with like a model ship and 10 character figurines.
And a
map of the galaxy.
Okay. They used to include maps of galaxies or terrains in special editions. I've got the special edition for Destiny 1, and I have like a sizable map, and it's not even like just like poster paper. It's like a weird, almost was like a velvet material. I don't know how else to word it. And that was just...
I'm assuming that it's this is labelled as Cloth Galaxy Map, so I'm assuming that's a similar sort of thing.
Probably. And it and you know, it was just special edition. It wasn't $300 edition. And then also, back in the old GTA days, you would just get a map of the world of GTA
in the box.
In the standard edition.
Oh, the old days.
The old days.
The innocent days of less money grubbing.
God, I miss those days. You know what we need? We need a good market crash. Market crash.
E.T. will have to save us yet again.
They found that landfill a couple of years ago.
I know, it was E.T. who killed us, not saved us. I forgot. Borderlands. The gameplay reveal is in 2 weeks, so I have more to talk about then, I'm sure.
But the next time we record, the gale will be out. Oh, I know what I want to talk about. You might have no knowledge of this whatsoever.
Oh boy, that seems fair.
So recently, I got the iPhone X.
Oh, fancy.
Yes, very, very fancy indeed. But when I was getting it, I thought, I'm going to, look into reviews and stuff, see if it's actually what I want. And then I kind of subsequently, because the YouTube algorithm started to be recommended. Look at all these tech reviews for phones, Nathan. You like phones?
Yep.
Yeah, right. So, I kind of, Casey Neistat's like a YouTuber I'll come and go with. I like to pop in and see what he's doing every once in a while. But then he's got friends like Marquez Brownlee and stuff, so I get into him as well. And then I just noticed the other day, because all these new tech reviewers are being recommended to me, the new Samsung phone, the Samsung Galaxy Fold. Heard of this?
No, I haven't.
It's a foldable phone. So, how this works?
It's a foldable phone.
Foldable phone.
Like a flip phone?
No, like a phone you can fold like a piece of paper. So, it's like when it's in closed mode, it's got a hinge on it and everything. When it's in closed mode, it's a very slim phone. Like it's very narrow, and it looks like a touchscreen version of like a Nokia or Motorola phone from 2008. That you would slide up to bring out the keypad, but it's a touchscreen version of it, and it's that's got like a small screen on it, and you can use that for your Instagram, your YouTube, your Facebook. You're making calls, you're sending texts and stuff. You can do pretty much most of the stuff you need on just that small screen. But then if you fold it out on the inside, it folds out like you would open a book. There's a big 7-inch tablet screen, and the screen has a crease on it from where you fold it, and it's held together with when you close it in, it holds with magnets. But when it folds out, it's got a tablet screen. You can do all the stuff on it, and the keyboard is almost separated onto two different parts because I think there's a void space on the crease. There's a void space where the touch doesn't work, so the keyboard looks like it's separated into two. And it's like a tablet and a phone into one.
Why?
Because it's the future.
Is that the future though?
Right. Well,
is it
the screen, because glass doesn't fold, as we know. I want that on a t-shirt.
Thankfully,
glass doesn't fold.
It's gonna be the first t-shirt from Name Not Included.
Glass doesn't fold. A Name Not Included story. And so the screen is plastic, which means it's much more
malleable.
Yeah, malleable, and it's also more scratchy and dirty, and it isn't going to last quite as long.
Yeah.
And all the power, the two different batteries are on different sides of the phone, on each side of the crease and the hinge, and a lot of stuff's held in. It's a lot of the technologies that's in the new Samsung Galaxy S10, which is their new iPhone X level phone. And a lot of the same tech is in that's in the Fold, but the Fold's obviously trying to be a tablet in one, and a phone and a tablet in one.
It's trying to be a different and new.
Different and new. And you know what's weird? The phone's almost $2,000.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I don't know what it is in other markets outside the US, and I think only like 2,000 people pre-ordered it. It's supposed to be a premium product. It's not really supposed to be consumer friendly. Right now.
I haven't seen a picture of it, but it sounds like it looks like crap.
Right, okay, so here's the thing. And also, when it's folded over, there is a gap between the two sides of the phone clapped together because of the hinge. The phone isn't... I think that this is not the kind of phone I would like to buy. However, a foldable phone I do think is going to be a sneaky thing of technology that is going to become very popular in the next 10 years. I think foldable phones are not going to become weird. Like, right now the tech is there where it can be sold, but it's not really desirable, unless you want to flex how much money you've got. Because it completely works. Like, the technology is here, but it's not competitive yet, which is where the shortcomings are. And there's other companies making foldable phones as well, but maybe they'll fold out instead of in. There's another phone company. The written word looks like Hawaii, but I don't know how to pronounce it, and I don't think it is Hawaii. And they've got foldable phones, and I've seen all the tech reviewers review the new Samsung Galaxy Fold. And there's like a thing on the phone that looks like a screen protector, because you know when you take a phone out of a box, it's got your default screen protector. Mm-hmm. And they started to peel the screen protector off. And you know what? It isn't a screen protector.
It's the screen.
It's the screen. And the phone just started to break. So all these reviewers, after the review, were like, let's take the screen protector on the phone would die within hours. The screen would start to black out. It would look like someone had punched a TV. It would just start glitching out and having lines across it and stuff. It looked awful for a $2,000 phone. And all these reviewers were getting replacements because they were like, right, okay, we understand why this happened. And on actual commercial models for people to buy in stores, they actually have a warning label on it saying, don't peel this off. This will break the phone.
Oh, the geniuses.
Yeah, so I feel bad but I also really admire Samsung Galaxy because Samsung Galaxy, I think, is the brand. But I admire Samsung because even though this phone is not something I would ever want to buy, I think this technology of a folding phone into a tablet is so gonna happen. I think it's going to be the future, Kyle. I believe it.
Well, I guess we'll see. I'm betting on holograms.
When glass folds.
When glass folds. There was another gaming thing, which is more of a general gaming discussion, which I wanted to have with you.
Go on.
One more thing before we get to other types of games.
Right.
But the new game by the developers of Dark Souls came out. It's called Sekiro Shadows Die Twice.
I've never heard of this. This does not sound like a general gaming discussion.
Okay, Dark Souls.
Unfortunately, I do know Dark Souls.
You know, Dark Souls is like a super popular game, and it's known for being really difficult.
Yes.
So every time a new one of these games comes out, this discussion comes out about should games have difficulty options. This is what the debate is.
Right.
Because people like the stories of these games. I've never been a fan of the Dark Souls or any of those. I find them just kind of depressing.
Yep.
But regardless, people would happily play the games for the story, right? So you get the two camps. You get the people who say, I want to experience the story, but I'm not good enough to play the game that far.
Yes.
And you get the people on the other side who say, the difficulty is part of the game, and there shouldn't be an option. It's part of the artistic vision of it. Right. So these are the two sides of the debate. And I have, as a story gamer myself, who sometimes isn't very good, I've always felt that I'm on the side of putting a story mode for the people who just want the story. You know, put in like an easy mode for those people.
Kyle, I completely understand where you're coming from, because I agree with where you're coming from. There's no such thing as the difficulty is part of the story. Bullshit.
I didn't say part. It's part of the art.
Part of the artist. Yeah, part of the art. Right. Okay.
Part of the
whatever.
vision.
Fuck off. Normal is the artistic vision. Default difficulty is this is how we intended for you to play it as a novice.
Okay, right.
But
that's the thing with these games. The default is super difficult.
Yes, right. Okay, so that's what I was about to say. If, in your view, the default is going to be super difficult, then just set default to be nightmare mode or whatever, legendary difficulty, and then have the easier difficulties. You're just dumbing down the AI a bit and boosting your damage maybe. I don't know how Dark Souls works, but I know how most difficulty settings work. Like in Halo, when you play Legendary, the AI is smarter. You don't do less damage, I think, but just the AI is smarter and stronger. Do that, but just dumb it down. It's not hard in my limited and ignorant view to video games. Difficulty settings are just part of your game mechanics that is not hard to implement on the scale of making a video game.
I don't think the argument is about implementation. It's about whether they should be implemented or not.
Yes, it should.
See, my view is, and I don't like to use this word, but I feel it's accurate, is it's a bit pretentious to argue that there shouldn't be difficulty measures. Like, oh, you just have to get good at the game if you want to experience the true art of Dark Souls.
I get the argument that, is it taking you 6 hours to get through this one mission? Well, then you know how it felt for the character. You bled with that character. It took him that long to get through it because it took you that long to get through it. What if you're really good at the game and you got through it in 1 hour, and they'd be like, yeah, well, you know also how it felt for that character. Well, what character did it take 6 hours to get through it for? Be specific. Some people are better than others, just at base level before practicing at it. Some people just get it, some people don't. So which version of the character's experience is the canon version? And there was a really good, there's a YouTuber, Luke the Notable. He's typically a Halo YouTuber, but he really got into Fortnite. He did 100 drops. Anyone who listens to this will probably be familiar with him because they went really viral. But before that he was a Halo YouTuber, and he did a video, I think it was him that did it, if he didn't, credit to the other person, and it was, what is the canon difficulty of Halo? What in the Halo games there's easy, normal, heroic and legendary. Which of these difficulties is the canon difficulty? Which is the difficulty that the player or the characters are actually dealing with when the player isn't playing the game? Which is the story difficulty? And the answer was there's lots of different answers for different missions. Some missions are supposed to be harder.
Yeah. Like, obviously, going into High Charity in Cortana is supposed to be a suicide mission, basically.
It's supposed to be significantly more difficult, and the difficulty will fluctuate depending on it. I think there should be difficulties in video games because I think there are people at different skill levels, and you know what? You are right. It is very fucking pretentious to be like, it's just that's the vision of the game. It's supposed to be that hard. I am supposed to be blocking you out of your gaming experience. We're not cutting you out with financial barriers, we're cutting you out with skill gaps.
I mean, the truth is, there has been some games which I have stopped playing because they're too hard. It happens,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I can't get past this bit and I'm not having fun. I'm just going to stop playing it. That's what happened to me in the first Dark Souls. I got to, first boss, and he killed me 16 times, and it's like, this isn't fun. I'm not enjoying this, so I'm just going to put it down and leave.
Yeah, if you're not enjoying the experience, you're not obligated to keep playing it. And, anybody who says, well, why are you giving the fuck up? You should keep going. Why are you not playing this game? You're not just saying that to people who have bought the game and stopped it. You're saying it to everyone who never purchased it either, because you're giving people shit for not playing your game. Or fellow gamers.
I don't know what the developer's standpoint is on this. I don't think they implement difficulty options, so clearly they're on the artistic vision side, I guess.
I don't think they would word it as well, maybe there are some developers that would word it that pretentious, but I don't know. I feel like game developers are smarter than that. Like, maybe they might also agree that there should be no difficulty ratings, but they might have a more practical reason for it that we haven't considered, like in terms of how they feel the gamer should experience it. But I do think if you go, well, it's the artistic vision, fuck off. If there's a real reason for there not to be difficulties, I'm open to it, and I don't know what they are right now as we're recording it. But as I'm sitting here being told by Kyle that there are no difficulty settings, I think I own Dark Souls 1 or 2. There were games for gold on Xbox.
Yeah, I think they were games with gold.
Yeah, so I do own 1 or 2 of them. But my god, difficulty levels almost seem like a standard. What games does Mario have difficulty? I feel even Super Mario Brothers have difficulties, do they not?
I don't think the original Marios do. I think maybe the new ones do.
Yeah, maybe.
I haven't played a Mario game in my life. So.
Really? I haven't for years, but I have played them. I mean,
I'm not a Nintendo kid.
I know if a game is so easy, like if a game is so easy, difficulty levels aren't really required. unless you want to make it
Yeah,
harder for
like
yourself.
a game that like a Lego game doesn't need difficulties.
Yeah, but I understand that if a game's too easy for you, you might want it to be harder. But nothing is stopping you from playing it all precisely because it's too easy. But when a game is too hard and it is actively stopping you from experiencing parts of the game, it's just a bit of a dick. And saying get good is not really an appropriate answer. You know, I'm paying for it.
I think this whole debate is where the get good thing comes from.
Yeah, because what happens if, you know, you're so good at Dark Souls, even though the game is really difficult for someone else, and you go, well, I want a harder difficulty, and everyone else is like, are you kidding? Like, it's quite, how hard a game is quite subjective, I think. You could just be really good at it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You can be good at Dark Souls despite never playing Dark Souls in your life, just for some arbitrary reason. For instance,
you just have a knack for it.
Yeah, when I play Halo for the very first time when I play a new Halo game, I just start off playing Halo. When I played Halo 4 and Halo 5, I just start on Legendary, because there's an achievement to complete a Halo game Legendary solo. And I'm not a big achievement guy, but I do think that's an achievement I want. And I think, well, if I just start off on Legendary, then I don't know how easy it can be. I know if I play on easy or normal, and then I put the difficulty up, I'm going to struggle, because I'm like, Christ, it wasn't this hard before. But I don't know how it can't get harder when I start playing Legendary, so I just pretend that I'm always playing on normal, even when I'm on Legendary. And I get it done. It worked for Halo 5 and Halo 4. Maybe those games were just easy, I don't know. But I'd done it successfully. Then subsequently, if I did co-op or whatever, I'd play it in easier difficulties. And I think Dark Souls should be pretty much the same. Start default hard difficulty, and if players are finding it too difficult, let them have the option to make it easier.
Well, here's another thing, right? I can understand another argument for not having difficulty settings if the game doesn't have a story, where there's nothing you're really missing. If you're like if you had a difficulty setting on Space Invaders, like, well, you're not missing anything.
I suppose so.
But people love the stories of these Souls games. There's like millions of YouTube videos talking about the deep lore of Dark Souls and the deep lore of Bloodborne and all of this stuff. People love them.
Yeah.
But they're also saying you don't get to experience these stories if you're not good enough.
If you're not good,
and it's like, well, that's not very fair, is it? Some people like stories more than they like dying in games.
Yeah, I don't think it is very fair. I do think it probably is quite a short-sighted view, I think. Like,
Mass Effect doesn't force you to play on insanity difficulty.
Yeah, the option is open to it. If you want to have the super hard experience, people aren't taking that experience away from you. Your super hard difficulty will still be there. Add achievements with high gamer score compared to the rest of the game to make you feel like you've got a set of exclusivity. I don't know if Dark Souls has any form of online. I don't think it does. But if it did one day, like for a future game, have like a super rare piece of armor that you can get for completing it. On Halo 5, there's a piece of armor you can get for completing every campaign in the Master Chief Collection on Legendary Difficulty. That is the prestige reward for your success that you only get because you completed it on that difficulty. Anyone can experience the story, but only you have warranted a certain reward. Let that be a thing for Dark Souls. You know, I don't know really how. I don't know enough about otherworldly Dark Souls things outside of the single player to know if that's a thing. But do anything, an achievement if it's only a single player game. You know, that you can share with your buddies on the Epic Games Store.
Bringing it all full circle. So yeah, add difficulties in games.
I'm never going to play Dark Souls, but I do stand up for my fellow gamers who do and think probably best to introduce it. Guitar Hero doesn't have a story, but it has a difficulty rating because people want to feel that they're actually playing the game, and you know they're actually there. You know, they're playing those Guitar Hero songs. And they're not stopping halfway through because they weren't good enough at it to finish it, you know? We're at Game of Thrones.
How are we going to do this?
We're at Game of Thrones difficulty.
Are we going to do like an episode for every episode?
That would be double time, wouldn't it?
It would. We should establish that obviously, like the rest of the world, we're fans of Game of Thrones.
We're not those people.
Big shock.
We're not those people on Facebook that share posts that say I'm the.
I've never watched a single episode of Game of Thrones.
I'm the 1% that has never seen Game of Thrones. So, no, shut up. The rest of the world have. You know,
it's a good show and it's fun to talk about.
It's a great show. Kyle, when did you start watching Game of Thrones? What season?
I was a very late comer, actually, I have to admit. I didn't start watching until about halfway through season 7.
Right, okay, me and you come around about the same time then. I never started watching Game of Thrones until sometime before season 7 and after season 6. I had vague memories of... Well, not vague memories, because I wasn't a child, this was recently. I had big memories of...
I was 4 years old when Ned Stark died.
Yeah, I was but a boy. I remember... going around my home doing stuff or whatever, and my mum was watching it, and I remember a vivid image of, I think the first time I'd seen an episode of Game of Thrones on TV, it was the last shot of season 6 of the dragons flying around the fleet as they go to Westeros, and that was the end of season 6, and I was like, oh, that's Game of Thrones! That was it. And then I've been told by various different friends, watch Game of Thrones, watch Game of Thrones, watch Game of Thrones. And I think we were maybe like 2 months out from season 7 starting. I hadn't seen... No, actually, that's a lie, because I remember also being a part of the marketing campaign for season 7. Like, I was a fan at that point. So it was before any trailers for season 7 had came out. I thought, at some point, I'm going to sit and watch it. So I sat and watched it, binged the whole thing really quickly, became obsessed very quickly. Love Game of Thrones, great show. Season 7 came out, watched it all week on week, loved it, and now we're here.
Season 8, episode 1. What was it called?
It's called Game of Thrones Season 8, episode 1.
It had a name, though.
Of course it had a name, but I don't remember it. I should. I feel embarrassed for not knowing it.
Are we just going to do a full spoiler discussion?
We'll do a full spoiler discussion.
Okay, we're not going to talk about anything else for the rest of the show, so I'm not going to put a time code for this one, just to be confusing.
Yeah. Warning to everyone right now. From now till the end, Game of Thrones.
If for some reason you didn't watch it, then we're going to spoil it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it, so leave now.
Spoilers! Nobody died.
Boo! No, I had a considerable feeling because this season is going to be breakneck pace. I thought they might kill someone first episode.
So I was fully expecting someone to die, but someone important to die this episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I genuinely thought when Huron was in the courtroom, and he was trying to fuck Cersei, I genuinely thought she was just going to execute him there.
I thought there was a bit near the end of that encounter before she leaves the throne room. I thought execute. I thought the mountain was going to take him down.
I would have liked them to do that.
Yeah, I think there's other plot threads with Euron, with Theon and Yara. I think there's they get to close that loop, as it were.
Yeah, I guess so.
So yeah. Also, has he changed his sigil because he's now in league with the Lannisters?
Yeah, I think
There's
so.
like a little red heart in the centre of his big squid sigil. And I don't think that's on Theon and Yara's Greyjoy ships.
No, they have the more traditional Greyjoy ships.
Yeah, they just have the big bronze squids, but I think he's got a little red bit in the centre of his.
They're not dressed like discount Johnny Depp's.
We should say, listener, Kyle not a fan of Euron Greyjoy.
I am not a fan of Euron Greyjoy. I don't think he's a good character.
I love Euron Greyjoy. I think everything's great. I don't think he's like world class actor, but I think the character is great. I think he serves it well. But no, I've never really been. I've always been a fan of Daenerys Targaryen. I've always thought that was a very good character. Like she was out of everyone in Game of Thrones, she was the closest to Ned Stark. Until season 7.
Oh, and she toasties the Tarleys.
I think earlier than that, not long after Jon Snow showed up. And I think maybe it's just because she's been fighting people who we didn't know for 6 years. and everyone else has been fighting people who we knew on both sides.
Well, to be fair, she was fighting like slavers.
Yeah, it was very.
And it's hard to feel sympathy for slavers.
It was very easy to like her. It was never hard to like her, you know. Now she's coming up against people who we're familiar with. It is getting more difficult. The show is doing a good job at tearing us apart like this. And I don't know. I don't want to hate. I don't want to hate Emilia Clarke as Daenerys Targaryen, but now I think she's gonna die.
I mean, it's so hard to tell at this point. I mean, even first episode in, no one died other than one of the. It wasn't the Karstarks. It was the other one,
Umber.
right? It was the Umber
kid. It was
kid.
Ned Umber, I believe.
Ned Umber.
They like to kill the Neds in this show.
It's a cursed name, it is.
I thought... Right, to jump to the end just for a second, seeing as how you brought it up. Loved that bit at the end where they go into the castle.
It was great,
It was great. Look out, he's got blue eyes. I've always had blue eyes. And then...
And just that shot of the kid on the wall with the hands and the legs.
Yeah.
And like this pattern is
and
like, holy shit, that's hardcore.
I don't know why. I was in some level aware that he was going to come back as a white. Like, I know how the show works. But in that moment, it escaped me because of the conversation that we're having. And when he started screaming and flailing, I jumped. I was like, whoa, he's back. You know?
Oh, they show, like, it's blurry and it's out of focus, but they show the eyes go up, and I saw it, and I saw it, and I looked over to my parents because I was watching it with them, and they hadn't noticed it yet.
The one criticism I'll have of that sequence, I thought the lighting was awful.
The what? The lighting?
Because I thought it was Alien versus Predator levels dark. It was too hard to see anything. I will say, however, I am at a personal disadvantage because the way my room is set up, the sun goes right onto my TV screen. So I have to close the blinds and stuff. I don't have curtains, so I can't just black out. There are going to be gaps of light coming through, so sometimes I do feel like my TV isn't giving me the full experience. But I did feel like it was quite dark in that entire scene when they were walking through in two different teams and such.
Here's my one problem with this scene, and it's just a little thing that bothered me, right? So he's got his sigil made of arms on the wall, and I was staring at it, and it's like, he just cut the arms off a bunch of his own soldiers to do that.
Maybe he took one arm off each one, you know, so that no one was wasting.
Like, he's just getting cocky now, isn't he? He just he cut the arms off a bunch of his own men.
He has quite a few people though, you know. He did it before they came back to life.
Mean, yeah. It just seems like a bit of a waste, you know, just to leave a message for 16 people.
I suppose so. But the White Walkers are all about their symbolism. They get that from the Children of the Forest, you know. They like their emblems and stuff. That goes right back to the very first episode they done that. It was the same symbol from like the prologue before you even meet any of the main characters.
Yeah, with random guy who gets his head chopped off.
Yeah, with random runaway guy and the assholes who was with you. So this is all kind of full circle. And one thing I really liked about this episode, well, one thing among many things, was the tension of it almost felt like there was an invisible army somewhere, because the army of the dead have went through the wall. They're somewhere between there and Winterfell. All the people north have pulled back to Winterfell, but the Night's Watch haven't yet been able to get there. So between the Night's Watch and Winterfell, there's an army somewhere, but we don't quite know where. And somehow Tormund and the Night's Watch and all that, they're going to... I think the story is probably going to have them get by the Night King easily, but somewhere there's an army lurking between these two different positions, and they're moving south, and they've got to somehow get round this army and get to Winterfell, and I loved it. It felt very creepy.
Well, I like how they incorporated that kind of feeling into the intro sequence as well.
Yes.
Where you've got these like white tiles sort of moving towards
it felt like
Winterfell.
It felt like they were flapping forward, like in like a Lego game where you're building something and the parts just kind of flap forward.
It was very Lego game.
I loved the opening.
And I like
sequence.
that there's only 2 locations left in the show.
Yeah, I loved the opening sequence of this season though. It felt for the first time it felt like they'd actually put like weight into the opening sequence, and I don't mean emotional weight. I mean like things felt heavy.
Well, yeah, they had like big clank sound
Yeah,
effects and stuff.
One criticism, and I heard this one other place, and I was like, oh, people agree with me. There was too much inside stuff in the opening sequence. Like they went into
Well, like they have to do something. It was like padding, basically.
Yeah, I liked it back once upon a time where, you know, it felt like it was a map going over locations, but now it feels like we're going into the locations, showing you the boardroom and stuff.
Well, that's what I mean. We've only got Winterfell and King's Landing left. But the whole season is in those two locations.
We did go to the Wall.
We didn't go to the Wall. We went to Umber Castle.
In the opening sequence, we went to the Wall. We saw the Wall.
We went through the Wall.
I did think it was cool because Game of Thrones have always kind of done like when the Boltons were in control of Winterfell. They changed
and it was on fire.
Yeah, and they also changed the sigils in the opening sequence from the wolves to the flayed man. But it's always kind of, I think it's been kind of underplayed. It's not been apparent. I think this is the first time that if you've never noticed the changes before, you'll notice them now.
Well, yeah, it was pretty obvious. Yeah. They've redone the whole opening, basically.
Mm-hmm. Feel sorry for the Baratheons because they still have their logo on the sigil on the Game of Thrones logo. Well.
Hey man, Gendry, he's still around. He could end up on that throne.
Gendry the bastard. Doesn't someone have to naturalise him first? Like it needs to be like the head of a house, but there's no one to naturalise him? To give him the second name?
Daenerys could do it, I guess.
She's not sitting on the Iron Throne anymore. I was convinced up until this season, up until that one episode.
You think it's Jon?
I've never ever in my whole time watching this show ever thought Jon Snow was going to sit in the Iron Throne until that episode.
You didn't think that when it was revealed that he was Aegon Targaryen?
No, I thought he was still going to, because maybe it's because they were having sex, but I still thought he was going to bend the knee. But that scene between Daenerys and Sam is the best piece of acting I think the actor has done since the show started. And I think it was a very great scene, amazing scene where he says that oh, I killed your dad. Well, at least I can go home to see my brother. Brother's dead too. And then he also, when he went to tell Jon about who he really was, it was the first time I felt like Sam was playing the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean, he spent most of his time up at the Wall, kind of away from the politics.
Yeah.
So.
But it just kind of felt like even when he went down south to his family with Gilly and he went to the Citadel, it was just kind of, oh, he's just living his life. He doesn't really care who sits in the Iron Throne. He's just living, whatever. He's with his friend Jon.
Yeah, and it's like, and he's come down on Team Jon.
Yeah, he's now on Team Jon. Like he's like, you gave up your crown to protect the North and the Seven Kingdoms. Would she do the same? And I'm like, oh.
And it's nope.
Oh, nope. Do you think the dragons are going to split up? Like, if Jon and Daenerys...
Well, you think one's going to go with Jon?
Yeah. Rhaegon will go with Jon and Drogon will stay with Daenerys. And then the Night King has his Viserion.
The dragons have been too well established as Daenerys' dragons to do that. I mean, even when they're doing their kissy kiss thing and the dragon's just like...
It's final season. Final season, man.
I know it's the final season. I get that. I've honestly, obviously there's like a million trillion predictions about what will happen. I have found it difficult to actually predict things, if you know what I mean.
Never saw Brienne of Tarth in this episode.
Yeah, we did. She was in the meeting room when Jon came home with Daenerys. She was there.
Was she? Right, well, I stand corrected. Do you think we'll see Hodor as a White Walker? Or just a White, sorry.
Probably.
Bring back the actor.
Probably see Bran's wolf as well.
Is she still alive?
No, Bran's wolf got White Walkered.
Oh, yeah. Maybe. We did see like a zombie bear. It's true. Anything's possible. Ghost, we haven't seen Ghost. Ghost is still alive.
No, he's just hanging around Winterfell somewhere.
I heard the actual dog who played Ghost died.
Oh. That's sad.
But that was like, I think, sometime during season 7 that happened. So that's like not new.
He wasn't in season 7 either.
Yeah. So, the dog is somewhere. Who knows? Nymeria, Arya's direwolf, is out there with a pack of other wolves somewhere.
Apparently, it's theorized that Nymeria will kill the Night King.
Yeah, yes. Did you see the theory that says that Daenerys will become the Night Queen?
I did. I'm the one who told you about that theory.
Did you? Right. Well, sorry, Stank. I do not mean to impart information on you to which you've already told me. Yeah. That's weird. Right.
This is my issue with the whole White Walker stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's tense, and so far it's been done well. But in my head, I just can't think of a way that it will end in a satisfying way.
Some people theorise, and I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like I'm just giving you other people's thoughts and not my own. But all the Night King White Walker stuff, Army of the Dead, it'll be wrapped up in season episode 3, which is the Battle of Winterfell. Then the next 3 episodes will actually be about dealing with Cersei and the Golden Company and stuff, and that'll become the Game of Thrones, unless the Game of Fantasy.
That's what I mean. Like that's kind of secretly what I'm hoping for, is that they just wrap up all the zombie stuff.
Yeah.
At the same time, they've been building this stuff up since the first episodes, and like if you just kind of like, oh, they're all dead. Oh shit, it's Cersei. It kind of deflates all of that tension from the past 8 years.
I kind of agree, but at the same time, the show's called Game of Thrones, and I don't think if you sort out who's going to sit on the throne, and it's a united 7 kingdoms against the Night King, it becomes less about what the show's about, and it becomes more about what the books are about, because I do believe the books are more about the Night King than the show ever was.
I mean, I get you. I just, you have to think about this from an outside perspective of not in universe, of external. How would you rate it to be a satisfying conclusion to the story?
It's always hard to end a TV show.
I know.
I
understand.
They're going to pull a Lost and be like, everyone was part of the Army of the Dead all along.
Ah, boy. It's just that's why I've never been super duper hyped for this season like a lot of other people have. I've been intrigued, and obviously I was going to watch it, but I've not been excited for it because I don't know how they can do it well.
Again,
I don't know if they can do it well based on the setup.
Because this is a 6-episode season, and I still think that it shouldn't be 6 episodes. This is going to be breakneck pace. There is going to be no time to stop and breathe, or very little anyway. And I think that the season will be over before you realise it, and I think that the Night King will be dealt with in such a way that there won't be any time to kind of take it in. Someone's going to die when the Night King goes out, and it'll be someone else who deals with Cersei.
You're talking Daenerys or Jon?
Daenerys or Jon, because Sansa is not. It's not going to be the battle of Cersei and Sansa.
I'd watch that.
I mean, obviously, nothing could happen that I'm not going to watch, right? But I had a theory for a long time that Daenerys was going to sit on the Iron Throne and Sansa was going to be Warden of the North, and I don't know what any other character's going to do. Now I think Jon's going to sit on the Iron Throne. The dragons are either going to side with Jon or die. They're not going to be set loose to go over the Narrow Sea again and live their life. They're going to either be with him or die. And Sansa's going to be Warden. Sansa's going to be Warden of the North is the only thing I'm certain of. And I saw, you get those pictures on Facebook where they like take shots from different parts of the show and show how they've developed.
Yep.
And it was Robert Baratheon speaking to Ned Stark, and it's in season 1 where he's like, I have a son, you have a daughter, we'll wed our houses.
Yep.
And it was Gendry and Arya.
Mhm.
And I think that would be interesting. Though that's
the common theory. That they're going to get
I still
together.
don't know who's going to naturalise him. It's either going to be the king or the queen who does it, or the head of the house, and there is no head of the house.
So you don't think Cersei has a chance of staying on the Iron Throne?
Cersei's gone. She booked the game. She's done already. She's just sitting there waiting to die. She's tied up on the train track. She just doesn't know it.
Here's the thing. I don't think Cersei will end up on the throne either, but I also don't think she'll die at the end of the show.
Think she'll be
She's
made Lord of Casterly Rock?
she's too wily. She's if the show has proved anything, it's that Cersei is a survivor.
Yeah, she survived a lot, but your luck's going to run out eventually. The end of the show is a good place for it to run out. Where can she go?
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's the end of the show. They could just kill off everyone.
Where can she go?
Like, the Night King could end on the Iron Throne. We don't know.
Where could she go though?
I don't know. Marine.
Do you think they're going to pull like the end of Robert's Rebellion, where Daenerys and Viserys they run away across the Narrow Sea, and then they get brought up to believe they're the heir to the Iron Throne, just like Cersei will do with her child if she really is pregnant, and she returns with lions or something.
I don't think that's actually out of the question. It just becomes this thing of, like, history repeats itself.
Then everybody for the next 15 years will be waiting for a spin-off, or a sequel, rather.
Yeah, but... And they'll make it, because money.
I want to...
That's how this world works.
We already know we're getting spin-offs. Like, that is happening. It is not a question. But I want Game of Thrones this season, the show of 8 series, to have a definitive conclusion. They can do sequels to it, but I want it to feel like this story's done.
Are you saying you don't think they'll end with banishing the monarchy and forming a republic of Westeros?
That would be boring, Kyle. God, that would be boring. Democracy and republicanisms is boring. It's not adhesive to good storytelling unless you want it to turn into House of Cards. Maybe Game of Thrones is a prequel to House of Cards.
Kevin Spacey ends up on the Game of Thrones throne.
Could you imagine he just walked in? That'd be so funny.
He walks out of his kitchen nook. I'm going to sit on the Iron Throne now.
You miss me? Cut to credits.